The first step is framing the walls. The walls can be common frame with 2x4 studs or 2x6 studs. Due to more recent insulation codes, most walls today are framed with 2x6 studs to allow for proper insulation. 2x4 studs are still allowable, but a much more expensive type of insulation must be used, as opposed to the traditional fiberglass roll-in insulation. Another way to frame walls, specifically for screened porch construction, is a post and beam system. The post and beam system uses 4x4 or 6x6 posts that attach to the deck and carry a beam above. The beam above is typically a double 2x10 or a triple 2x8 depending on the specs. Yet another way to frame is portal framing. Portal framing is used when there are large openings in a sunroom. With portal framing, an LVL, which is laminated veneer lumber, is built around the perimeter of the room and connected to columns with hardware. With the walls in place, the girder beam can be installed. A girder beam is a large, very strong beam that spans the entire room. This is needed when the addition is connected to a house and there's not a wall built on the house side. In this situation, a girder is installed from wall to wall, giving you a strong foundation for the ridge post that will be installed at the house. Once the walls and girder are in place, the next step is putting up the ridge. The ridge will sit on ridge posts, typically a 4x4 or two 2x4s. If there is a window or an opening directly beneath the ridge beam, then a post cannot be used. A header is needed to bypass window openings to transfer the load from the ridge down to the wall. With the ridge posts, headers if needed, and ridge in place, the next step is to install the rafters. Rafters are installed at 24 inches on center. The rafters are cut according to the slope or pitch of the roof. Rafters will typically be 2x8 or 2x10. 2x10 rafters make it easier to install recessed lights and allow for larger spans. The rafters are connected to the ridge beam with a utility hanger. Where the rafter meets the wall, the connection is made with a hurricane tie. When trying to create an open cathedral ceiling without collar ties, an additional piece of hardware is needed. This hardware is called a rafter strap. A rafter strap is a piece of 2-inch by 24-inch metal that is installed on top of the rafters. The rafter strap straddles the ridge beam so that 12 inches of the strap is on one side of the ridge and 12 inches is on the other side. This is desirable because a true cathedral ceiling should be completely open. Collar ties are pieces of wood, typically 2x6 or 2x8, that are installed beneath the ridge between two rafters spanning the room. The collar ties have to be installed in the lower 1/3 of the rafter. With the rafter ties in place, the next step is to install the rakes. The rake is the overhang that is installed on the front of the gable. You want to match the overhang created by the rafter tails, but on the front of the gable, since there is no overhang, a small wall, typically 8 to 12 inches, must be framed and installed on the front gable. Once the rakes are in place, the gutter board can be installed. Gutter board is a 2x6 piece of framing material that's installed on the ends of the rafter tails. The rafters hang over the wall, creating an overhang. The gutter board is attached to the ends of the rafters so that the trim and eventually the gutter can be installed. The gutter board also connects the rake to the rafter tails, making the rake much stronger. With the rake and gutter board in place, the next step is sheathing the roof. The roof is sheathed with 5/8 inch OSB. You always start on the outside at the rake and work your way in. The plywood is nailed into the rafters. Each sheet of plywood is connected with an H-clip in between the joists to hold the plywood in place and not allow for any movement.